Well, hello everyone. We are starting with happiness, joy, and like Cardone says, we are coming in with fervor. And there you heard the great sports anthem, "Na Na Hey Hey Kiss 'Em Goodbye" by Steam. And I asked for that to be the opening as a way to say goodbye to those pathetic Giants and Jets. I am ready. I was so ready for this season to be over. I don't know about you guys, but when I was watching that Jet game on Sunday and the clock hit zeros, I flipped the bird to the screen, took a drink of my beer, and said, "Good riddance, losers. See you in 6 months."
No doubt.
Yeah. No question.
I remember we were saying about 7 weeks ago on the pod, we were like, oh my God, we have 7 more of these to go. And like somehow we survived it. We got through it. So,
and it's finally over.
Yeah. Thank God our seasons are over. But, one thing as we were before we're just coming on. Yeah. Saying goodbye. I know we'll get into this probably, but everybody says goodbye to coaches, GMs and everything, but except the New York Giants, they fired nobody. I'm sure we'll talk about this, but it's like I made the reference. You guys are on the thread. It's like Jokic. I compared it to Jokic, the GM and the coach. It's like it burns, it itches, and you just do nothing about it. I'm like, it'll heal by itself. It'll go away on its own, right? I don't need to put any cream on it or nothing. We don't need to fire anybody.
Just keep them.
Now, the only player or anybody that the Giants got rid of through the course of the year was the quarterback, who clearly was not the problem.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we did.
Very clear.
Yes, that's the only thing we did is get rid of a quarterback that somehow then made things much worse. I don't know how you get rid of the worst quarterback in football. I'm making air quotes when I say that, and your team gets a 28% worse after he goes down. So yeah,
just bad. Well, welcome everyone to the Three Angry Giants and a Jets Fan podcast. I'm your host tonight again, Angry Jets fan Novak, and I've got Giant Mike and Cardone. And I'm going to be honest, we're a little concerned about Scott. There has been rumors around the building that he is out. He's coming back from a trip. He might be interviewing for a new podcast leadership job. But fear not. We're going to see him this weekend, and we will lock him into a long-term contract. We will get him back. Don't you worry. We won't let him leave our building without a contract. So Scott will be back.
Yeah, it is. It's like that. You're right, Novak. This is like what happens on the sports talk shows when the host is negotiating his contract.
Yep.
It disappears for a couple days or a couple of weeks, and then he
either
comes back or doesn't come back. We don't know right now. We're do the best we can.
Scott's holding out at the end of the year, where most guys hold out in training camp before the season starts. Scott's doing a holdout. You know what he's doing? He's doing the H&H bagels. He's on strike right now. The Festivus episode, where Kramer and the boys went on strike for 12. Kramer was on strike for 12 years.
Yep, that is right.
H&H bagels. Scott is pulling a Kramer and striking at the most critical time of the year here as we roll into the not our teams, but the rest of the league into the playoffs.
Yep. Well, we will have Scott back for certain next week, so don't be concerned. Like I said, it's not going to take much of a contract negotiation. I think a beer and a pat on the back, and he'll probably be back. So we'll get him this weekend. But
I hope so, because that's our only offer.
That is our that's right.
That's our only budget.
Yep. I've got to fill in for Scott yet again, so I've got to start off with a shout out. So I'll try again to do the high pitched Scott hello, but I'll see what we can do. Hello, Captain Cook, Hawaii. How about that one? Captain Cook is a census-designated place in Hawaii County in the United States, located in the district of South Kona. The community within the land division of Kealakiuka is so named, became the post office for the area, was located in Captain Cook Coffee Company during the early 1900s, and as of the 2010 census, the population was 3,429, up from 326 in 2000. As of March, a resolution was under construction to rename the town Ka'awa'aloa, meaning long landing place. Captain Cook shares much in common with the district of Puna. Both districts are situated on active volcanoes and contain large sections of land that are in lava flow hazard zone 2. Additionally, new lava hazard zones 11, 12, and 13 are being established to account for current flow activity to reduce redlining. And guys, if I'm being honest, this shout out was somewhat of a setup, kind of like the Strahan sack on Brett Favre to take over Mark Gastineau's sack record.
That wasn't it. Come on, man.
As I told my friend Scott, who was in Captain Cook, to download the podcast. So now we only have the state of Alaska left that has not downloaded our podcast.
All right.
There we go. Setup's fine, man. We'll take that. And let's see, Captain Cook Hawaii shares. That's something for me. That is the only town in any of the Hawaiian Islands that I can pronounce.
Well, clearly I was struggling a little bit with all of this on here.
Yeah,
I did
you
this to
took
myself.
that on.
I'm like, I could have picked anything, but
Yeah.
I don't. So for our listeners, I don't have access to the analytics, so I don't know who downloads the podcast. So I'm like, I gotta set someone up to download the thing, and I was like, let's get someone in Hawaii. I knew he was there, and he downloaded it and listened to the pod from Captain Cook.
Check off a new state. Got it.
Yeah.
So we're down to one. So guys, I don't know where we want to start. We're gonna have to start with your Giants. You can go through the game and talk about that Eagle game. No one gives a crap about it, if I'm being honest. But if you want, go for it. Talk about the Eagle game, or sum up this ridiculous season that you just had.
Well, yeah.
my
Wait
God.
a minute here.
Wait a minute.
We have a.
Is it?
On the phone.
Do we have a fly-in?
We have a fly-in.
Is this an imposter?
No, I'm on the phone.
What?
All right.
We just did the shout out, Scott, and you missed it by like 10 seconds.
No, so I'm calling in live from the JFK airport. So coming back from a 2-week trip to Germany and Italy. Great time, but Wi-Fi is terrible. So our flights today, just a complete shit show. So
this is better than like Cantori reporting live with thunder snow.
Much better.
Or when they used to have the traffic person in the copter.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, great episode last week. Loved the fill-in. I had a hoot just listening to it. It was fun listen. Enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, this is dedication from
a good time.
I feel like I'm expendable now. I'm at the airport. I could just walk away, not have to do anything. I go on the IR. You guys take care of everything.
Well, we just said, Scott, that we were concerned. There was concern in the facility that you were out interviewing for another leadership position at another podcast, but that we were going to lock you down with a contract this weekend when we see you.
Holding out. You're holding out on us.
Scott's holding out at the end of the year. Yeah.
Notice how that he didn't say that he was. Don't worry about it. I'll be back.
I did
notice.
notice.
Yeah, that was plausible deniability.
It was. He avoided the question.
I figured I was being extended just like Shane and Daboll. So.
By the way, Scott, I have to keep the Seinfeld stuff going because I can't help myself. Are by any chance gambling on arrivals and departures like Kramer was at the Diplomats Club?
I tell you what, if I was, I'd make a lot of money because we got so many mechanical failures going on right now. There's people from Milwaukee that are all pissed off, people from Pittsburgh that aren't happy, and the Charlotte flight's been delayed 3 times. And actually, it is going to take off tonight, which usually in my experience, if you delay something 3 times, you're done for the day, for the night.
Yeah. Is there any Giants gear that you're seeing in JFK?
All right. This is crazy. So there's a French guy on the plane when we were coming back, and he had a hat on with every single logo of a logo of every single NFL team. I've never seen something like that. And the logo for the Giants was the 1976 NY with the lines.
The capital letters or not? Yeah, it was disgusting. I think they had that for 1 year.
Double lines. Awful.
You know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing the jacket and hat when Akeem came over from Zamunda, and when him and they showed up in Queens, and to blend in, they were wearing all the Novak. They had a jet jacket on, a hat, all that. So they had every New York team plastered to their jacket and hat. Same kind of. That's what I'm picturing, Scott. This guy.
Yeah. So that was a good part. But no New York Giants stuff here. Interestingly enough, in line in the Paris airport coming back today, there was a Jets guy with Jets gear on, Jets hoodie.
All right.
The only way the only place you can wear that is not in this country, so that doesn't make that's not surprising.
So, by the way, you guys know I'm live because in the background you can hear speakers going off and people calling flights. So
it gives the charm, like it lets people know this isn't some sort of skit. Like you are actually calling in from the road.
This is unprecedented.
It's our
we
first
got guys out in the field.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah,
I think probably what happened here is Scott was holding out on the contract. He's out of town. He just got word from his agent that the new contract's been approved. So he said, "All right, I'm going to go ahead and call in the show then, since I'm back in the fold."
Can we officially announce it?
Yeah, I saw a couple typos on it first, so I got to get Darren to correct those first.
It'll be great if Scott just like randomly asks people questions as they're walking by, like
a live interview.
Yeah, let's just do live interviews.
Can you do
when we get to the question segment later? Let's just ask people randomly, like in the that are waiting for the flight.
Yeah, what do you think about the Giants and Jets?
Here's a great one. I'm looking at the board right now for the Milwaukee flight. Scheduled departure 5:50. Now it's scheduled for 9:40.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
There's some awful angry Wisconsinites at JFK.
They're cheesed off.
Well, can you stick with us? We are about to go into the Giants game breakdown.
Yeah, all right. Go into it. I'll contribute to what I can until we start boarding. So
sounds good.
Right on.
All right, so guys, kick it off. Scott, right before you called in, I said, feel free to talk about what you want. You can talk about the game. You can talk about the Giants season. It's up to you guys. Go for it.
Well, I mean, I'll just make a comment about again, as I'm watching the Giant game, which I had again in multi-view, I certainly wasn't watching that on full screen and into every play. So I had a combination of other games going on, and much like last week and the weeks before, I was starting to get pissed off when the Giants looked like they were going to make a comeback later in the game. And again, there's no reason to break down this game, but just the entire time. I just kept thinking I'm obsessed now with the draft position and tankathon and all that. And all I could think about was, why did we win last week? This is bullshit. We coughed up the number 1 pick. And then at the end of the game, when the Giants looked like they had a chance to at least, make it. Well, they did get to a 1-score game. I just kept thinking, my God, do not win this game. There's absolutely no reason to win this game. And lo and behold, some guy, Boogie, some guy jumped off sides. I don't even know who the hell it is. Is it Booger McFarland? Who jumped off? Somebody jumped off sides, and I'm like, there we go. That's what losers do.
Yeah.
That's a losing team. That's a losing franchise. That's a loser on the on the Giant defense there. So lo and behold, I was happy with the loss. I mean, as bizarre a world as that gets, finishing with a 3-14 record, we end up in the 3rd slot for draft. Which is, I guess, something to look forward to. But I think we were texting each other, guys. We're not in the league. Neither one of our teams are in the league. Nope. As you're watching teams battle for playoff positioning and all that, just a grotesque, devastating NFL Sunday, quite honestly, to watching the Giants and Jets in action last week. Just deplorable, disgusting, and just grotesque. That's all. That about sums it up.
Yeah, I mean, that is spot on. It is, someone on Twitter right after the game was like, Boogie, whatever, with the biggest play for the Giants season.
Yeah.
By jumping off sides.
Yeah.
Season saver.
Put that in the Sports Illustrated, yearbook highlights, when they do the team yearbook. And Boogie going off sides, like show it in slow motion with the NFL, like music, NFL Films music behind it.
I think the two guys are going to remember most from you guys this year is Hack and Boogie.
Hack and Boogie.
I want to say it was Boogie Basham, wasn't it?
Basham. I think that's right. Yeah.
Boogie Basham? Oh, he's on the Giants now?
I thought he was.
That's who it was.
And then to salt it away, Kayvon Thibodeau had a roughing the passer. So, we could have gotten the ball back, and he made sure we didn't. So
that's right.
Two big plays to salt it away. My take on the Giants here is it's just, it's one of those things. I actually, looking at it now with the 3rd position, I'm not too upset, because I think it takes the decision of us having to take either Shedeur or Cam out of our hands, and we might now actually get Hunter and then build around him. But people are going to squawk because now you're not getting your quarterback.
I agree with that. I really have come very comfortable with picking third, although the first mock draft I've seen has Cleveland taking Travis Hunter and the Giants still taking Shedeur Sanders. So with Cam Ward going number 1. So it's like no matter where we go, Shedeur Sanders is trying to follow us to where we go. But hopefully the draft goes chalk. And as we talk about every week, man, by the time we're actually ready to draft, there'll be 3 more quarterbacks up here near the top of the first round. As the combines go and as all that stupid shit happens, this is not going to be a 2 quarterback first half of the draft would be my very strong prediction. But I would very much like to see, even though we're quarterback starved, I would very much like to see the situation where we bring in a veteran. We're probably not a playoff team anyway. Bring in a veteran, get Travis Hunter in here, and start from there.
I like that. I like that plan. Yeah. I reevaluated my anger, I think, in the last week. And all of a sudden the idea was one of those things where, holy shit, wait a minute, Travis Hunter, like, yeah, I'd be okay with that. And bringing in another highly talented player like that, with neighbors, and now all of a sudden we've got some weapons there, and we've got something to at least be excited about. And you're right, Mike. I was going to say, and the fact is, it'd be different if and I don't know, I can't speak for the Giants, right? We don't know what they're thinking, but I think collectively, I'm not in love with either. I'm certainly not in love with Shedeur Sanders. I don't want him on my team, and I'm not so crazy about Cam Ward. Really, I don't know what that and so. If there was that Andrew Luck there, or the can't miss quarterback, it's not there. So I kind of reevaluated my whole position on it and thought, you know what, maybe we'll probably have to go get a veteran or do something, because we're still not going to make any kind of leaps next year. So just like you said, Mike, I don't want to repeat it, but that's exactly what I would say. Bring it if we were able to get Hunter, and if he's there at 3, we should get him, and then we'll get our quarterback either through some free agency or who knows, maybe Quinn Ewers or one of these other guys are there later in the draft. We don't know.
I would caution against thinking that you're not going to get Shedeur, and here's what I'll say that.
Yeah.
You got to remember the Dion factor. Dion's been through this league. He knows what is the best situation for his son. And I'm not saying the Jets are over the Shedeur Sanders possibility, because Dion can control a lot of things, and he's going to want to maximize earning potential. He knows what it can take in the market of New York. I think that the Jets and Giants are still absolutely in play for this guy, and I agree with you. I want nothing to do with him. Nothing. Because what coach would want that? And he put out his little googly eyes when the Titans fired their GM, Rand Carthon. He put a little comment in there, and he does not want his kid going to the Cleveland Browns. We all know that. Yeah. So I'm just saying, yes, it sounds like it might happen. It might not happen, but don't rule it out. Not with Dion involved.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's all about he obviously, we know that he's going to have an incredible high level of influence and persuasion there, and who knows even like behind the scenes and all this stuff. No one knows. The public, we don't know any conversations that Deion Sanders could be having with owners, GMs, NFL executives. Who knows? The NFL. I mean, we know that this is a business at the end of the day, right? And it's already the NFL. They're probably already thinking about how are we going to market this guy, how are we going to market Deion Sanders, how are we going to do all that bullshit that we can't stand. The 4 of us can't stand, but that's a big part of it. And New York, there's no bigger market, right?
There's not, and no 2 worse teams.
And no 2 worse teams.
I mean, there's not.
Yeah, and we'll probably get into it, Novak. I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on picking 7th now, or where we're going to go. We'll get to that here in a little bit, I guess. But it's God, Shedeur Sanders. I don't even want to think about it. I can't.
You guys know my dream scenario would be Travis Hunter and then Jackson Dart in the 2nd round. But I don't think there's any chance that by the time draft day rolls around, that Jackson Dart is not a first round quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
No, doesn't mean you can't trade up into that though.
Yeah,
You could.
You could trade it back into that spot, but yeah, I don't think there's any way on draft day after it's all said and done that Jackson Dart's a second round player.
No. And so I've got to ask you guys, the big news this week in Giant Land was the fact that they retained Schoen and Daboll. Thoughts on that? I have my thoughts, but I'll let you go first.
I'll go first because I'm going to have to board a flight here soon. But
Okay.
I do not like it at all. I wanted a clean slate here. I wanted to start fresh. I think it sets a bad tone because what we've done is had a 3-win season and there's no accountability from either the GM or the coach. So do players then take accountability too? I think you have to make a change. And if you don't, then you're saying winning 3 games in a season is acceptable. And, you're probably going to change a coordinator or two, but you're not changing the people that are making the big impact. And I think that has a ripple effect on the locker room because the locker room is going to look at that and say, guys, we're getting cut or we're not going to be playing anymore, but the bosses are staying in charge. Just for me, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, I will probably have the odd man out answer to this. I like it. I'm a retention guy. I'm a give everyone every chance to succeed guy. I think I've said it like 9 straight podcasts in a row right now. My gut tells me Brian Daboll's a good football coach. I'm not so sold on Schoen, but what damage is he going to do? I mean, it's a no-brainer pick when you have the number 3 pick. Now he could he could take Shedeur Sanders, and how I'd hate that. But, yeah, to me, I'm all right. This season was just such a train wreck, and I go back to the beginning of the year, and we talked in the beginning of the year. What will Schoen and Daboll be back? What would the circumstances have to be where they weren't? And I think we all kind of agreed that this would have to be the train completely coming off the rails for them not to be back. Well, the train's in the ditch. Yep. So I get why everyone, everyone's of the opinion that maybe this was given a little bit too much leeway to those guys, but all in all, at least for this year, I'll change my tune next year. I'm always late to the game, but for right now, I prefer the continuity over the chaos.
Yeah, I'm somewhere on the fence, guys, where you just knew that they were going to make a change. That's just the way that the Giants operate. They're slow to hire. They're just slow to fire people. We've seen this with previous coaches where we always seem to give some schmuck an extra year for whatever reason. That's just the way the Giants operate. So I think maybe we're just conditioned that way, Mike, like where it's, you said, where I don't like the chaos either with this revolving door of coaches and GMs and all that. So we predicted this, I think. It wasn't that hard to predict. You knew the Giants gave no indication that they were going to shit can either one of these guys. First of all, they're kind of, glued at the hip, these guys anyway. So if one goes, they both go, I think. I don't think they keep one and fire the other. It's a package deal, I think, with Schoen and Daboll. So it's been so erratic that I thought about it this way too. Well, who do I want? Who's out there? Yeah, who do I want?
That was my take.
In both positions, So that's the one question I always ask people. When it's as soon as they're like, get rid of this, get rid of that, guys. And I'm like, well, all right, that's fair. Who would you like? There's never an answer. It's like, so you got to ask yourselves that question too. And and there's nobody that I know that I say, oh man, this guy's a lock, bring him in. Like a Vrabel or something like that for New England. We might touch on that or whatever. But so I'm kind of giving a long answer here, Novak. But it just I've accepted the fact that these guys were going nowhere. So I'm just kind of embracing it, I guess. Maybe not embracing it, just accepting it, tolerating it, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think you make a good point that you have to ask what else is out there. And as a team that's going through it, the names that are getting trotted out there, I'm not exactly, jumping for joy over the opportunities that are out there. Yeah. But as far as the Giants are concerned, I think My take on it is, number one, Mara shouldn't have come out and said that what he said, which is I'm impatient and I'm angry and I better not have this feeling next year, because now you've basically just put them on notice. So now Duchesne and Daboll try to win next year. 8-9 games if you've got a rookie quarterback. So again, I think it sets a bad precedent. I don't if you're gonna stick with them and you're gonna draft a quarterback and you're gonna like build for the future, you got to give them 2 or 3. You can't say I want you to win now, but we're gonna bet a bunch of rookies in here and we're gonna start over again. So I think it's not, it doesn't make sense to me. On top of the fact, I think Shane is garbage. I do. And I've said it since day one. I said it about 9 weeks ago. I had a whole laundry list of things here that I wanted to point out, but I'm not going to do all of them. But like, even just the quarterback position. And, for people to say, well, hindsight's 2020, he's getting paid millions of dollars. He's supposed to know this, not fools like us who are on a podcast. Like, that's the thing. So, I mean, you sign Daniel Jones, you bring in Bo Nix, or you pass on Bo Nix and Michael Penix, which, sure, we didn't want him, but that's not our job. Yeah. Scott, I think Scott wants to weigh in. Do you want to weigh in, Scott?
Yeah, I want to weigh in because I'm getting ready to board now.
Okay.
Here's one thing I want to say. I think that I think there's a couple things that I was really disappointed in this weekend. And it's at the press conference that they had where they were talking about the season. They basically threw Daniel Jones under the bus and made it seem like he was the reason for the problems from the season. And I look back at that last game when they just played Philadelphia. And the Giants didn't rest their starters, and yet they lost to Philadelphia's third stringers. So you're telling me Joe Shane created a roster that can't even beat Philly's third stringers when his starters are playing. Now, granted, some of the best players are on IR, some are gone, but you still were not competitive against a guy from Stanford as a third string quarterback. And if they were going to tank, why did they win the week before? So I have a lot of problems. Again, that just goes to I get Mike's comment about continuity, but I am very upset with the way the season ended in terms of not fully embracing the tank. And then when your starters are playing, not being able to beat Philly.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Scott comes in, drops a truth bomb like that, says, see ya, and jumps on a plane.
Yeah, and then you guys are going to have to answer
literally
questions and do everything else without me. I'm missing my favorite part. So
well said, though, Scott.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Safe travels, Scott.
All right, Scott.
Good. Thanks.
He's right.
Take it home.
All right, Scott.
And I'll be back in the pilot seat next week, hopefully.
All right.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Safe travels, man.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Great point.
Finishing up on that, I would real quick. I would just say, guys, when he got here, your offensive line sucked. It still sucks.
Yeah.
You had no depth at wide receiver. You still have no depth at wide receiver. You didn't have a tight end. You still don't have a tight end. And the tight end you did have, he traded for Darren Waller, who was a bust. We all loved it. But again, we're podcast guys. We're not a GM getting paid millions. Yeah. Your defense, you got rid of, didn't you let McKinley, was it McKinley that you just let walk? McKinney, sorry.
Yeah, who just led the NFL with 8 interceptions, I think. Yeah.
You let him go. Banks doesn't seem like he's going to be all that. I don't. Still, jury's still out. You don't even have a kicker who gets hurt every game. Your punter sucks ass. So you have a good long snapper. Good for him. But he hasn't done anything positive that I can think of. Maybe Banks. No. I guess I get that trade, but I'm sorry. I just don't get it.
No, I get it. And you're dead on. I mean, as Scott mentioned with Jones, they kind of made him the scapegoat for the whole thing. But, to everyone's point here, wasn't Daniel Jones, even if they gave him the contract, wasn't he still enough of a question mark to have a viable NFL backup quarterback on this team?
Yeah.
It wasn't that still. I mean, we didn't know. I mean, that was the whole theme of like the last 3 years of this podcast was we don't really know what we have in Daniel Jones. We never really figured it out. I don't think we ever answered that question before he's gone. But yet with all that, we have Drew Lock.
He got to the second round of the playoffs, right? Who did you surround him with next year?
Yeah.
Who'd you surround him with? Who could he throw to? Last year, forget this year, you had neighbors. Who?
Nobody.
Yeah. Wandale Robinson. Darius
Slayton, who I murdered on the pod 2 weeks ago, and it's still on the roster. Yes. You're making some excellent points about Shane and his body of work, and it's bullshit. It really is.
So we'll see what happens with the Giants. I do think that Shane and Daboll in particular, is in a really tough spot right now.
Yeah.
Because he's got to win now, and you don't have a roster to win. You just don't. I mean,
No.
I think even if you draft incredibly, what you should be most fearful of right now is that they try to win next year and do what the Jets have done and overspend in free agency with old, aging, big name players to satisfy the fan base so that you can go 6-11.
And
I think that's probably exactly what they're going to do.
They'll try to do, perhaps.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it doesn't work that way for the Giants. The Giants are not that kind of team. They don't. Their history does not indicate that they're not a big free agent sign, come here, play here, late in your career kind of team. They don't have a history of that. Certainly,
They don't.
And they don't pursue that usually. Their mantra has always been, and successfully, decades ago, build through the draft.
Yep.
They rarely. I mean, the one guy who comes to mind is like they brought in Kerry Collins, years ago, and I thought that was, quite suspect, and he took us to a Super Bowl and should have, had a run in 2002 as well. But I don't, that's just again, man. And next year, we know. I was going to bring this up as part. I wasn't sure when I wanted to slip this in. I might as well go forward right now since we're talking about next year. And you can say year to year how different teams are, and the NFL usually does, kind of flip flop year to year in terms of first to worst and worst to first and all that shit. Giants have the fucking toughest schedule in all the NFL next year. Is that awesome?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this relentless losing and loserville will not stop with the New York Football Giants. I mean, we knew that as soon as we knew that, it's been set, right? The schedules are set in terms of what divisions you're playing, and so we've got the AFC West, Chiefs, Broncos, and everyone but the Raiders, and then we got the NFC North, everyone but the Bears, and then our own division. And the Giants have the toughest schedule by winning percentage next year. So how are we even getting to 5, 6 wins? We already know this. The season just ended this week, and we're already looking like hopeless next year for. What's the over/under on their wins next year? 5?
It's got to be 5. I would target right now at 5. Well,
it's
5
probably
5.
5. No, right, guys, because it's too little, as disrespectful as it can get. I don't think the NFL. I don't think the odds makers even go lower than 5. In terms of preseason. Seriously, it's like minimum wage. As far as the
we're getting the minimum wage.
Yeah, we're getting minimum wage. Odds. Over under for wins in 2025. So I'm glad I slipped that in. That was one of my bullets here on my pad, and so I got that one in. A toughest schedule.
You got it in.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the Jets are concerned, switching gears to that other disaster game, they actually played well.
Yeah.
The Dick sadly got his 500th touchdown and more.
Sadly.
Yeah, I know. I was rooting against that. I really did not want him to get it, but he did, and he gets it as a Jet, and whatever. I don't know. We'll get into it in a little bit about what's going to happen next year with him, but I think I actually felt like the Jets came in playing for the Dick, and Ulbrich. I think they wanted to win for both of them, to go out in a positive way. I didn't really care so much about whether we won or lost like you guys did, because 7th or 9th, what's the difference? I don't really think there is much. So fine, I actually did want to win because I hate the Dolphins so much. And they actually played really well. I thought they spread the ball around. It was actually relatively entertaining game to watch. But I actually wanted to mention something about this game that no one's talking about that I was shocked by. And that is, 2 weeks ago or the week before, Cardone said, well, Tua didn't play and he's not playing next week. I don't remember a starting quarterback with a team in a playoff hunt being so under the radar that they're not playing than Tua.
Yes.
And then he shows up to this game. Did you notice this? It's a night game, and he's wearing dark sunglasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had some mysterious hip injury. I'm calling BS. Yeah. I'm telling you, this guy has issues from his concussions. And that's the reason he was not playing, because no one said what he really had other than some mysterious hip injury. And he shows up in glasses and sunglasses in a night game. I'm not saying he's going to retire, but guys, if something doesn't happen this off season with him, maybe retirement or not coming or taking a year off, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I think he's toast. I mean, I do. Well, you can't. He's still relatively young for the NFL. What's his plan? What is the long-term plan for Tua? To try to play and not take another shot to the head in the NFL? I mean, what's his plan? And I know some of his own teammates have gotten on him about wearing the damn pillow on his head. They've taken shots at him for not doing that. I can't imagine that extends a guy like Tua's career any. I mean, that pillow's not going to matter if you get driven headfirst into the ground. I don't understand the whole Tua saga. I don't get it. I don't see what the exit strategy is or the long-term plan here. He's just waiting to get so concussed out there that he forever forgets his own name and his family. And I don't know. I don't know what he's doing.
But you made a great point there, Novak, too. Both of you guys did. We did talk about it on this pod, where I was still up until game time or on Sunday. I was saying, I'm like, is Tua playing today? I didn't even see his name on the scroll. I don't remember seeing his name during the week. And I was thinking, the Dolphins are still alive for a playoff spot. Yes. Are they not?
They moved the game to 4:00 because it's a potential playoff team.
And it absolutely, again, we've seen this. Well, we saw it with the Colts last week, getting the snot beat out of them by the Giants. I'm gonna get into the Falcons and the Buccaneers later with a couple things. One's with my pet peeve, and the other one's with just another. Actually, maybe a secondary pet peeve. But the Dolphins still were alive, and there was no mention of whether their starting quarterback was even in the lineup. Right. It made no sense.
Which is why I said something smells.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But here's the other thing, guys, and we joke around with the word fervor because I just love that word, but you can say this about any sport, and especially in the NFL, where the talent and the really, obviously some teams are much more talented than others, but not like college football type of thing. The NFL is designed where there shouldn't be that big a disparity between the talent and skill level of these teams. I'm aside from the quarterback, I'm just talking about the rest of the team, tackling and all the other kind of bullshit, right? And when a team, and this is the Jets I'm talking about, like they came out, Novak, and I'm sure you noticed it, they had an energy like the Giants did last week. The Giants against the Colts last week, where when we were watching that in Hisman last week, we're like, oh shit, the Giants are going to win this fucking game.
Yeah, it's funny how you can. It's funny how you can see that and tell. You
saw it on the sidelines. You saw it just as they were coming on and off the field, like both sides of the ball. And I saw that with the Jets too on Sunday, where the Dick, we know about the 500 touchdown pass. But I was watching that game too, thinking like, oh, the Jets are just playing with a big bet. Which team? If you didn't know the records and you're watching that game, you're like, which team's going for a playoff spot? I'd be like, oh, it's got to be the Jets, right? They're just playing with more energy and fervor. This Dolphin team, and when a team just goes out and absolutely, and they talk about that, where when you just outwill your opponent, and you see in the NFL, and that's why the any given Sunday kind of thing, and it's not about always talent and the most talented team. It's who comes out with the most absolute energy and just the will to win. And the Jets did that on Sunday.
Yep. Where was it all year?
Exactly.
They didn't have it for weeks, and so. And as far as the Jets are concerned, we talked a little bit about the Giants and what they're going to do next year. I mean, the Jets are interviewing anyone with a pulse. I might want to throw my name in the hat because they've got like 17 coaching interviews and 10 GM candidates, and they have to hire a third-party group to organize this and set it up. You're telling me I couldn't have done that for him? Hey, here's 17 coaches that might want the Jet job. So it's such an embarrassment that they can't even do this right. Like it's just everyone they're talking. Matt Nagy is getting an interview. Oh. Ron Rivera, the Riverboat. It's just what I don't know what's I don't know what happened with Mike. I don't know what's happening with this team that they can't even organize this interview schedule. And now they got Rex Ryan in there. Are you kidding me?
Retread.
Rex thinks he's getting it.
I'm telling you guys, and look, I came into this podcast tonight happy and joyous, like I said, because I don't have to watch these losers again for 6 months. Now I'm getting activated again. I can't. If Rex Ryan is the coach, I'm out. I can't do it. Like the guy's on TV with those white teeth making stupid comments, and this stupid fan base is going to buy into everything he says. I can go in there and say, I'm going to make this a Jet team, and we're going to be tough, and we're going to knock them off the kneecaps, and anyone could do that. But their stupid fan base falls for it, and that stupid-ass owner, Woody, will too. God.
Just for the sake of the podcast, can you imagine Riverboat or Rex coaching the Jets, and then Shadur Sanders and Justin Fields on the Giants? I mean,
holy shit.
The podcast would go off the
I tell you what, we would have to do 2 a week.
I know.
We would have to double our output. Seriously, we would have to do 2 a week. One just on the Jets and one just on the Giants.
Seriously. Like
we'd have to dedicate. That'd be awesome. Rex Ryan makes it sound like it's a fucking reality TV show.
Yes.
Like that's the NFL, and that's professional sports in general. Like it's absolutely a reality TV show. Rex Ryan, like you're coming in to coach an NFL team. This isn't about you, Rex. This isn't about, you know what I mean? Like these guys, the egos on these guys, and the way the whole NFL is structured now. This is about winning football. It's a team sport, the ultimate team sport, and it's about winning and championships. And this guy's coming in like it's a goddamn TV reality show.
Exactly. You're 100% right. And I know what they're thinking. Oh, he's going to be another Dan Campbell. He's going to get fired up, and he's going to get them playing hard and all of that. Come on. He was an okay coach 15 years ago. And I said it 9 weeks ago when Joe Douglas got fired. I said, if it's not Rex Ryan, I still think I don't think they will hire Rex. I think they're going to hire Aaron Glenn because they're going to try to sell the fan base on a former player. Yeah. He comes from Detroit, changed the culture there, the whole thing. They're going to get the Lions assistant GM in there. I don't want that either. I don't want another elevated coordinator learning on the job in New York. It just doesn't work. It doesn't. And it's not working for Daboll. It's not. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Who were you guys successful with? Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
A proven winner. I mean, yes, Bill Parcells wasn't a proven winner at the time. It's different times now.
These guys decades ago.
It's not the same thing. You can't get it. It doesn't work unless you have a quarterback that's worth a damn to come in here and win.
Yeah. I love that point, Novak. And you're spot on. I mean, look at what every team does now. It's first of all, they say we're doing this extensive search and blah, blah, blah. And then they end up hiring a coordinator from a good team.
Yeah. Every time.
And that's all everyone does now. Oh, If we get this guy, we'll be the next Lions. Oh, if we get this guy, we'll be the next Patriots. Oh, let's raid Buffalo. They're pretty good. Let's get a GM from them. Let's get a coach from them. It's lazy. It's proven that it doesn't work. I mean, you talked about Coughlin. Yes, he came from the Jaguars, and the Jaguars, he did some great things with them as an expansion team, but he was a Giants guy. He was on Parcells' staffs. Parcells came from internal. He was an internal guy, linebackers coach when he got elevated. It kind of goes back to continuity. And if it's, if you can't retain a coach, I mean, you can't just keep everyone. I don't know if everyone wants this because apparently Pittsburgh fans don't. But how cool would it be to be Pittsburgh? They have 5 coaches since the 60s or something. I mean, and they've been good that whole time. And they've had some shit seasons in there, and they stuck with their guys. And, but you just can't capture lightning in a bottle. Every team has to do it their own way. You have to. You're never going to steal success from another team and bring it to yours. That's just not the way that it works. You got to find your own formula.
That's spot on. It's spot on. Yeah. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
And
it does. It starts. I'm trying to think of some other, who are the most successful teams, in recent history. Obviously right now it's Kansas City and now, albeit they brought over an Andy Reid, right? A longtime Successful though, very successful head coach with
Yep,
the Philadelphia
yep.
Eagles. Just couldn't get to the big game or got there once, and but we know the history there. But you're spot on, Mike. I can't even add any more to that other than it just there's you talk about continuity. That's great when there's a winning formula already there.
Yeah.
And that's what the Giants, they have a losing formula, and that's all it's been. And this has been, and really, Novak, you just said it, since Coughlin. It's funny. I finally heard Coughlin's name come up like this year. I think when searching for that coach or thinking Daboll was it, and maybe I agree, Mike. I think Daboll's a good NFL head coach. I do. We saw that, I think, in his first year in 2022. But now there's a lot that there's some good things he's done, but God, there's so many holes and voids on the roster, and just but there's other bad teams, or there's other teams that you look at the roster, and the Giants have some players, and Giants have some decent, certainly skill positions and other things. And why are other teams able to at least muck out 500 records and the Giants can't compete? So then your question is it coaching? Is it the coordinators? Is it why then when I look at other teams, and I can't think of, just there's so many teams that they compete. They're in the mix. The Giants are out of the playoff mix. We talk about this every year, by Halloween every year. So what the fuck is going on that this team cannot even get to mediocrity, 500, and be somewhat on the cusp of even alive in a sniffing a wild card spot, God forbid a division? Where do you point the needle then? I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling on right now, but I don't know where the needle goes. Don't know where it goes.
Well, you're nailing this. I mean, it's outside the Detroit Lions this year, every other team has position places or certain players or whatever that they're not perfect. They all have holes, but they're able to come in and compete. And I'll include the Jets in that with us. The Giants and the Jets more so. I mean, the Jets lost 4 of their last 6, but they played well down the stretch. The Jets played a couple of very good games, even ones they didn't win down the stretch. And, talking about Daboll, I mean, 2022 was obviously, that was awesome. First year, go to the playoffs, win a playoff game, great. Last year, getting 6 wins out of that team, I thought last year was a great coaching job by Daboll on a shit team. I can't explain this year. This year I don't know, but other teams look at Detroit. I mean, we buried Detroit 3 weeks ago when they had all these injuries and started proclaiming that maybe it happened at the wrong time for them. To me, they still look like the best team in football, even with the injuries. So we'll see.
Look, I just started doing this as we were talking. I'm trying to think about it, but since 2000, so turn of the century, right? 24 years. You think you've got Belichick, Reed, Coughlin, Arians, Fox, John Fox, and Tony Dungy, all second-time coaches that won Super Bowls in that time frame. So you're talking 15 or 16 of the 24 Super Bowls have been won by guys that have coached before.
Yeah,
it's rare that you get like Mike said, catch lightning in a bottle from someone that's a past coordinator that turns around and wins it. There are some, but at the end of the day, you need someone that freaking knows what the hell they're doing, and the Jets have to have that, and I think the Giants do too. I don't see this turning around for you guys this year, and I think you're going to be in the same spot this time next year with a fired coach and GM starting all over again.
Yep.
And maybe Tomlin shakes free for you.
Yep.
Because I think if the Steelers have another bad year, that actually could be a thing.
And we all know this because we all feel the same way, including Scott, who's here. Who's the coach out there right now that we would all want? It's Vrabel.
Yep.
And that's because he has coached before and coached well. And he seems to me like one of those guys who could go to a new team and say, okay, I learned a little bit from mistakes of the past. I still like my formula. I'm going to reapply it here, put some Band-Aids on some things that didn't work out next time and go win a championship. I mean, you guys just mentioned the other guys who, the second-time coaches. This time around, it's Vrabel. The one thing about holding on to Daboll this year and Shane is that, holy cow, if we could match up firing the coach with Tomlin's availability, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll jump on that one.
I mean, you know who's out there? Guys like Eberflus is out there.
Yeah, those are the other guys out there.
That's who's running around out there.
Yeah.
Well, the Jets are interviewing Matt Nagy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, God. I mean, that's
because
the one
he's
thing.
the offensive coordinator with Patrick Mahomes. That's a fucking tough job.
Yeah.
There's certain names that you just makes your the back of your skin crawl on the back of your neck. Like you know what I mean? Like just these retreads and like Riverboat might top the charts, right? God, I mean, you just hear Ron Rivera's name and you're like, are you fucking kidding me that this guy is even in the universe of being considered for just a conversation, let alone actually hiring the guy to lead your team? Ron Riverboat Rivera, enough of some of these old guys that just, right? Just enough.
Yes. Enough is right.
I mean,
they've had more than a couple tries. There's the guy who comes up who even still to this day, he did when we hired him, and he still to this day does it for me. It's Pat Shurmur. With the Giant, that was such a loser hire. Oh my God.
What a loser hire.
Well, guys, switching gears a little bit. As we know, we have my second favorite weekend. Super Wild Card Weekend is upon us. So, taking a look at these games, I'll just read them off real quick. We've got Chargers, Texans, and Steelers, Ravens on Saturday. Broncos, Bills, Packers, Eagles on Sunday, and Commanders, Bucks on Sunday, and Vikings, Rams on Monday. I think we always assume that Super Wildcard Weekend is going to suck ass. Although there's a couple games in here I actually do like, surprisingly enough. So what are your general thoughts about this weekend? We'll get into predictions after we talk about this, but what are your general thoughts about Super Wildcard Weekend?
Just the fact that we call it super.
That's annoying already.
That's a pet peeve right off the bat.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
There's a mix of game. Even last year, was it right that they were all just abominations?
Terrible.
All of Wild Card Weekend was an abomination. So there's a couple games this year that maybe will give us a little bit better. But right off the bat, you look at the Steelers and the Ravens, and the Steelers are kind of floundering a little bit, and then Denver at Buffalo. Welcome to the playoffs, Denver. Bye.
Yep.
So there's some of those like we had last year, but man, Vikings Rams is a good game.
That's a great game.
Yeah. Washington Tampa Bay might not be a game anyone's interested in watching, but it should be a good game. I mean, it should be a good game. I don't know. I mean, that's for diehards only, I think, but it should be a competitive game. And I like my Clippers, man. The Clippers are
Clip. We'll get into predictions, but I wanted to ask this question to you guys. It's funny. Like every year when the when the wild card when it's set, I like to write down and predict the time slots and go with which games.
Just gonna say that. That is awesome. No, go for it. Keep going.
Okay. No. Well, we can all all collectively talk about it because I loved. And what's funny? Like I nailed, and the easiest one was probably the clip at the Texans for like the Saturday, because we know that's the appetizer. That's not even the entree. That's just sort of like, hey, let's just get the playoffs started. Like we're gonna give you a game that like that is sort of like when the band starts playing at a wedding and no one's even in the room, like no one's taking their seats yet. It's still the cocktail hour. By the way, the fucking wedding has started. Or the reception has started, and we're all still hanging out, like like what? And then we finally work our way into the the dining room and take our seats. And you're looking for like your little card. Like, what table am I at? Novak, where are you guys at? Oh, cool. I'm at table 15 too. All right, yeah. So that's the clip at the Texas. So that one's easy to predict. I think I nailed. I'm trying to remember now. The one I was a little surprised at was actually I was predicting Green Bay, Philly for the Sunday night game.
Not Commanders Bucks.
So, I'm a little surprised they went commando at Tampa for Sunday night. I thought that one was going to be. I thought Commanders Tampa was going to be Monday night, and then but then I realized, well, wait a minute, maybe they did Minnesota LA Monday night because Minnesota played the night game on Sunday night. So Minnesota the NFL probably thought, let's give them an extra day there because they're coming off a night game. So, everything else, Denver, Buffalo, I think I had that one pegged. So, not too surprising as far as the time slots, right, guys? What's also interesting, if you go chronologically, it goes all AFC, then all NFC. I like to look at that too.
I didn't even notice that.
No, I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, first three is all AFC, then NFC. But yeah, most of it, I don't know. I like I like some of the matchup. Yeah, I'm expecting some lopsided games there. Pittsburgh looks hopeless right now. Did you guys watch Pittsburgh, by the way? Against
they look awful.
I mean, they don't look
really bad.
Yeah, Pittsburgh doesn't look like they can move the ball, and I don't know. So I think everyone's probably going to be on that Baltimore train. And then, Buffalo, I don't know how they're going to get derailed by Denver at home. I shouldn't, that. And then I like the games. Minnesota, LA. I watched a lot of that Minnesota-Detroit game. And
terrible.
Yeah. So what's that, Novak?
Sam Darnold was terrible.
Well, he missed a lot of throws. You knew, and we could say this a million times. There's no, we're not uncovering any secret here. When you have that many trips in the red zone, you don't punch it in, and then you don't go for, and you don't take field goals and all that shit. You can't survive that. Yep. You cannot survive that. But one thing I was laughing about with that game, and then also as we get ready, and even though our teams are pathetic as they are, like we love, the playoffs are here. I think all of us speak for all of us. This is it's nothing more exciting these next couple of weeks coming up. It's great to watch these games. But what the funny thing is, as we're getting ready to watch these games, I have to remind myself the Giants and Jets are in the same league as these people.
Yeah.
Did you guys? That crossed my mind when I was watching Minnesota Detroit Sunday night. I'm like, I kept thinking holy shit, the Giants are in the same league as this.
Yeah. It's scary when you see how far behind they are.
Yeah.
And when you watch some of these games, there's no doubt about it. It's disheartening, actually. Mm-hmm.
It is wild to me after the Vikings season that they have to play a road game.
I know.
On wild card weekend. I mean, that is wild to me. I don't know what happens, but
I've said the NFL should try to fix that, but that'll never change, I think. I mean, this is a team that's 14-3 and they're going on the road as a 5 seed. I feel still that all right, you win the division. Obviously you're going to the playoffs, but you don't have necessarily people. A lot might disagree with me. No. I don't necessarily believe that you just automatically get the home game. I don't.
I totally agree with you. They need to reseed them. You win a division, fine. Get in the playoffs. I agree with that. That's fine. But you need to reseed, absolutely, because the Vikings do not deserve to be playing on the road as a 5 seed. They just don't.
Not even close.
And when the divisions were 5 teams, okay, fine. But there's 4 teams in a division. So if you have 2 bad teams, you're guaranteed 4 victories right off the bat. Yeah. So I just, to me, it stinks. They need to do something there.
We've had 7 and 9 winners of divisions and stuff, and even that is hard. And those teams are getting home playoff games. Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And ironically, I think if we looked at that up, a history tells me those teams have won some games too in the playoffs.
Panthers won a playoff game at 7.
They did. Yeah. It's hard to win on the road in the playoffs.
Yes.
So Minnesota,
the other one.
And they're unfortunately for Minnesota has to play a team that if the Rams could have hit the reset button at mid-season, they might be the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're playing very well.
They are.
Oh yeah.
They got off to a rough start.
Speaking of that, Mike, I looked this up too, and I was thinking to myself, they're one of those anomalies in terms of the percentages of teams. Teams that start 1-4 have a 3% chance. The Rams started 1-4. Can you imagine the New York Giants starting 1-4 and winning the division?
And playing a home playoff game.
Playing a home playoff game for starting 1-4. It doesn't. I mean, it's 1-4.
Does not compute.
Not only that, my brother, when we had a 3-0 lead against Minnesota week 1. Says on a PI against Pinnock, season's over.
He was so spot on.
Meanwhile, there are Ram fans 1-4, don't worry, we're fine. As Mike would say, we're fine. We're fine. Brett Cardone is out there saying, with 3-0 lead in week 1, season's over on a pass interference call in the first quarter.
So we were at Mulligan's for that game.
We were. Mike and I were sitting against each other at Mulligan's.
I remember you showing me that text, and you and I were howling, laughing.
We were.
If we only knew how prophetic that was.
Greg, Mike and I are sitting there, right? It was a bullshit PI, right? We knew that. It was a third one of those third down. And I showed Mike. I go, Mike, look at Greg. I go, Gus got this. He goes, season's over. If Greg's not listening, I'll have to tell him about this little segment right here tomorrow.
Well, Greg predicted correctly.
Yeah.
So let's go into predictions. Mike, what do we got?
All right. So we're going to go by the order that the games are played, and we're going to flip-flop the regular season order, which Novak was our wire-to-wire champion.
Damn. Congrats, Novak.
Thank you.
What were the finals? Yeah. What was the standings?
Yep. Novak, Cost, and Cardone all went 1-1 last week.
All right.
So the final standings were Novak 25-11,
nice.
Cost and Cardone 24-12, and Mike goes 0 for 2 somehow. Just basically rolling dice. I've had a rough year. I did. Yeah, I picked the Giants and I picked Miami. Yeah, so I went 0 for 2.
Yeah.
So I ended up 20-16. I did keep my head above water and finish above 500. So we will reverse the order. And I don't know, maybe because there's so many games, you guys want to take each game at a time, like all four of us do the game.
Let's do that. So we'll go quickly, but I just want to say after the regular season championship that I've just had, it's not that fucking hard. You just pick against the Jets and the Giants every week. I mean, guys, come on.
I'm gonna remember this for next year.
Right, that alone gets you how many wins? I mean collectively, how many? Right, how many losses combined? We had 14. What was your final record? What was the Jets' record? 5-12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 26 wins right there.
Right. That's a 26. He ended up with
24.
25.
25.
Yeah, so Novak had 25. So
there you go.
Yeah. If you just win again, there you go. Idiots we are.
Just dumb. I mean, just dumb. All right, so we'll start with the Clippers at the Texans. I don't have any belief in the Texans. CJ Stroud certainly had the sophomore slump hit him. The Chargers are playing well. They're coached very well. They kick field goals. They punt. They're the only team playing NFL football the way we remember it right now, I believe. So I have to pick the Clippers, and they're going to hardball the Texans 26-20.
All right.
And we got Cardone.
You know, this is this was the one I struggled with the most. Even though it's the first game, I think it was the one I kind of filled in my score the last because I didn't know which direction I wanted to go in. Everyone's picking a Clip with good reason. They're hot right now, and they look like a really good football team, and they are. But the playoffs, as soon as the playoffs start, you know how this works. Like things just happen, and going on the road, Houston, I don't think of Houston as a terrorizing place to play. And as bad as Houston has looked on certain games at the end of the year, particularly against the Ravens, that game where they lost 31-2, which has got to be a scoregami game. But I'm actually going with the Houston Texans in this one.
Houston
23-20. I think Herbert is going to be denied his first playoff win again. I just think something crazy is going to happen. I think there's going to be like a weird turnover or some special teams kind of thing. Something's going to turn that game sideways, and I think somehow Houston's able to squeak it out 23-20. Give me the Texans. Not really sure why, but I'll probably be biting myself on that one because the Clip will probably go because I like the Clip. I like Harbaugh, and I'm kind of actually rooting for them, but I'm going the other way.
So I'll go quickly here. I too am going to go for the Chargers on this one. The Texans have struggled against bad teams, not just decent teams. They've struggled against their divisional games. So I'm going to take the Chargers here, 31-23, and to keep it all straight, Scott has picked the Chargers 30-14.
Yes, I got that 30-14.
Yep.
Okay, I put 24. I see it. Okay, you're right. 30-14. Okay. St. Louis at the Ravens. I kind of tipped my cap on this one. I think this is one of those. I'm sorry, that's the wrong game. Steelers at Ravens. I said,
and there's no St. Louis too.
Did I say St. Louis?
You did say St. Louis.
It's because I wrote down STL instead of like for Steelers. Okay. Pittsburgh.
I'm thinking
Steelers
like the Rams back in St. Louis.
The Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. I kind of tipped my cap on this one earlier. Pittsburgh's struggling, man, and I think at home the Ravens are going to demolish them. I got 31-10. Cardone.
Yeah. Ravens all day. I think I only have them winning by 14, but the spread is what's the spread there? Like 10? No, it's 9, whatever it is. But Baltimore will cover 34-20.
34-20.
I too think this is a blowout game. And two quick predictions on this. I think we're going to see Justin Fields in this game because I think Russell Wilson will struggle. I think you'll see them throw a Hail Mary, not an actual throw, but a Hail Mary to put Justin Fields in. But I like the Ravens here, 27-13, and don't rule out the fact that Tomlin could be on the move.
Oof. All right, this is the game I started talking about before. We got Denver at Buffalo. I also tipped my cap on this game. This is a welcome to the playoffs. Nice seeing you, Denver. Bo Nix, we'll see you next year, maybe. I have Buffalo winning this one, 34-13.
Mm-hmm.
Cardone.
Yeah, pretty similar, Mike. Bo Nix, road, first playoff game. He had a great regular season, but the early exit, 31-17 Buffalo.
I think this is going to be a very, very close game. And the reason I say that, and I am tempted to pick the Broncos here, and here's why I say that. The Bills struggle every year in this opening wild card weekend game. They 2 years ago barely beat the Dolphins, who had Skylar Thompson at quarterback. So, and the Broncos defense is very good. Bo Nix is playing well. And I think they go in there with nothing to lose. So I'm going to take the Bills, but barely 21-20.
Love it.
And Scott has Bills 42, Broncos 17.
That's we don't need any commentary on that. That says enough.
Yeah.
No.
Did we get Scott's score on the Raven game? I don't remember.
We did.
Scott had 35-10 Ravens.
Got it. Sorry, I missed it then.
35-10.
Okay.
I even made a note here from Novak. I said Fields appearance. So that will.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that call. Washington at Tampa Bay. Man, this is
we're skipping a game here.
Oh wait, Green Bay, Philly.
Green Bay, Philly.
Yes, sorry, I put them on the second page. God, I'm all over. You can tell it's postseason. I'm not ready. So Green Bay at Philly. I just know Philly's going to win because it would be too good to just have them out immediately. I don't think they're going all the way. They're going to leave these playoffs, but they're not going to do it immediately. This is a battle of quarterbacks who may or may not play. Right? We don't. These two guys are both. Questionable, I think, but I got Philly holding on and winning this thing 24-17. Cardone.
Yeah, this is Eagles win. I think it's going to be close, but I think Barkley's going to continue where he left off in the regular season. He's going to score at least 2 touchdowns, maybe even a third somewhere. I think Barkley's going to have a wild day. Green Bay scores maybe something late. Give me Philly 30-26.
All right. Well, I'm playing with a little bit of house money since I won the regular season. So this is the game that I'm gonna call an upset. And the reason I say that, I was definitely gonna call this, but then Christian Watson got hurt, so I'm not wanting to do it, but I'm going to stick with it because I want to try to be something different. I like the Packers. I think they're well coached. I like Jordan Love. I'm assuming he's playing. They came out last year and they beat the Cowboys pretty good in week 1.
Yep.
They did. And I don't love the culture, this sort of mess that the Eagles have going on between Sirianni and AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, and there's something still not right with me for them. So I'm going to take the Packers in an upset, 24-21.
And Cost, our fearless leader, also sees the Pack upsetting Philadelphia 27-26. Yep.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. I think from Cost perspective, that's wishful thinking. All right, now back on track. Here we go. All right, now Washington at Tampa Bay. These NFC South teams, right? They always like make the playoffs and then lose at home. Remember when the Giants went down and beat Atlanta? They just always seem to do that. I don't know about Washington. You got a rookie quarterback, first playoff start on the road, as we mentioned, for Bo Nix as well. I think this game is going to be a nail biter. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I got Tampa Bay winning this 14-13. Mr. Cardone.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines. Again, on the road, first playoff start. Daniels, Washington, they've they're a weird team to me. I want to bury that team, thinking like they're really not. There's something significant missing. When I look at them, like offensively, I know they've struggled. They were great early in the year. Remember, they didn't punt for like a month or some shit like that, right? And then at the end of the year, Jane Daniel, they struggled. There were certain So, but I think I always look right to the quarterback, and I think Baker Mayfield makes enough plays in that game and gets his Buccaneers up over the top. I got the Bucs 27-23.
Okay. So for me, look, this game is the night game for one reason, and that's Jaden Daniels. The NFL loves this kid, and this is their prized possession. This is the one that they're going to want to prop up and get into the divisional round. No one wants to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers almost more than any other team in the playoffs right now. They're just boring. Baker Mayfield, fine, but they did not play well last week, and they barely beat a New Orleans team who had nothing to play for with Spencer Rattler, when they needed to win to even get in the playoffs, and they played terribly. So I'm going to take the Commanders here with some bad officiating, 28-27.
27. I love the. I'm gonna mark that down. Bad officiating.
Well, that's not a big. That's not a big. They're gonna be bad officiating in every.
Yeah, but put that in every game.
But I'm saying there's going to be a call in this game that
yes.
gives Jaden Daniels an extra play or something. I
second
can
life.
See that.
Yep. Yeah. Scott Cost has chosen the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win 28-17. So Scott's trying to kick the NFC's like right out of these playoffs. Just get gone, get out of there.
There's no way that's going to happen. I know what Scott's thinking there, but we don't. Because remember I said I don't get the neutral stuff. Like I remember I was saying like if the Giants are nowhere to be, they're not in the league. So my entire motivation is like I just try to stop everything else from happening. And that's you think I'm going to get both NFC East teams out? No way.
No way.
I mean I'm lucky I picked Tampa, but to get a double shot there, absolutely impossible.
So the capper for the week, which I think is an awesome game, Minnesota at the Rams. I think this is going to be a back and forth type of game where probably the team has the ball last, that kind of deal. I've got Minnesota winning this, possibly in overtime, 30-24.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon?
Yeah, this was another one where I was looking at it over and over. I'm like, man, which way do I want to go? It wasn't one where like, I'm all day on this particular team. And then I started thinking, I have not picked a road team to win yet. As I was going through my picks, I'm like, there's no way they're going, that every home team is going to win. So I looked at that, and I just like Minnesota in this game anyway. The Rams are another one of those tricky teams that, they've got some. I love the coach. I love McVay. And Nakua or Puka Nakua and Stafford. I mean, these guys, they can sneak up on you and they can score when they need to. They always seem to make plays. But I just feel like Minnesota, they won 14 games for a reason. I know they're probably down a little bit because of the losing the 1 seed and the losing out to Detroit last week. But I think they rebound out on the West Coast there. There's going to be a lot of LA is, I mean, that's a half home game for whoever shows up there in that freaking stadium. So I could see the skull, I could see all that at the end of the game, people with that bullshit. So I got Minnesota winning on the road 28-21.
So for me on this, go ahead.
I was just going to say the truth of the matter here is that both of these teams belong in the divisional round of the playoffs.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
for me on this one, I think Sam Darnold was the Sam Darnold I know from his Jet days on Monday. I think McVay is one of the best coaches in the league. I think that maybe there's some question in Sam's mind. He does not play well when there's a lot of pressure on him, and I think he's playing for a contract in this game, in my opinion. On top of the fact, I do not like, this is something about me, I do not like when a coordinator is talked about for every job coaching in a big game like this, and that's Flores. So I think the Rams are going to take this game 30-14.
You got to winning comfortably.
I do. For some reason I don't know why, but
I can see that. No, I can see that. That's one of the
I can totally see that happen.
Yeah, I struggled with that game really, and honestly, like I said, they were the other game. I realized I'm like, I need a road team in there somewhere. So give me the Vikings. That was a coin flip for me, that game.
So for a quick recap for the Clippers and the Texans, everybody but Cardone, I'm sorry, is on the Clippers. Novak's got the Texans. For Pittsburgh at Ravens and Denver at Buffalo, we're all on the home team there, Ravens and Buffalo. Novak went out on the limb with Washington, with the other three of us going with Tampa Bay. Novak went out on the limb with the Rams, where the rest of us went Minnesota. And then we split for Green Bay and Philly. Mike and Cardone have Philly, Cost and Novak have Green Bay.
Good. So this is fun. This is good. It's not like the stupid ass Jets and Giants we got to do.
I know.
Yep.
So
It's
Novak's on
fun,
two.
right?
I was thinking, I'm like, who are the island guys? So Novak has two islands. I'm on one island.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are the ones that you kind of want to take advantage of.
Get that one. Yeah. Get the island.
The problem is the Texans will get blown out, and then I'll be the only schmuck in the 0-1. You guys will all be 1-0 since that's the first game, and I'll be sitting there like, damn it.
We haven't even sat down at the wedding yet.
Right.
Cardone's 0-1.
And I'm already behind.
Well, guys, I don't have a written plug for our sponsor, so I'm just gonna say, just fucking go buy Rugged Uncle already. Angry fans, use that code. It's good stuff. So I got nothing. Scott is so good at that. I am not. It's great stuff. Great guy, owns it, and you need to get it. I'll just say that.
Well, this time of year, you got the Arctic blast. It's often windy. Around this time of year in January, you want your hair to stay in place, right? What better way to keep it in place than Rugged Uncle?
That's right.
Yeah.
Keep it in place. That could be the tagline too.
If you're a regular
keep it in place,
listener, keep it in place. You write taglines for this company every week. It's really good.
Yeah,
keep it in place, dude.
Keep it in place.
You're really good at the taglines, man.
Not
That's
bad.
good. You're
I
a
just
bad
thought of
man.
that one. Yeah, tag man. Keep it in place, fellas.
Yeah. If you're a regular listener to this podcast and you haven't at least tried this stuff yet, come do yourself a favor and do it. We promise we're not snowing you under. No pun intended. This is good stuff. American made. And what is it? Nashville that they make? Yeah, it's Nashville.
Yeah.
Get a guitar pick in the can there.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. Just do it. Worth every penny. You'll thank us.
You will.
I am going snow, pun intended. For those watching on YouTube, I got the Christmas Village behind me, or like
Christmas
a snow-capped
Village.
mountain, because we're under a snow Arctic blast and snowmageddon on Friday night here in the Charlotte metro area. And we all know, living here in the South for as long as we have, you get a forecast of one flake of snow, and the entire county the entire world shuts down.
Bread, milk, and toilet paper is gone by
That's it.
Gotta have
Saturday
it.
morning.
Yep.
Gotta have it.
Batteries,
Because
bread, milk, eggs.
And eggs. Because
Yeah.
you can't survive without having an egg sandwich.
Alcohol, cigarettes, Rugged Uncle. You get it all now.
All right, let's start with pet peeves. We're running a little late today, but that's okay. We've got a lot of questions. We'll get into pet peeves, and since I got to host this thing again, I'm going to choose myself first. So,
All right.
my pet peeve, guys, is something that was on full display on Sunday, that every time they brought something up, it annoyed the you-know-what out of me. And that is these records that they're trotting out when we're playing 17 games versus 16.
Yep.
Mike Evans catching, 11 straight seasons with 1,000 yards. Jerry Rice didn't ever play a season with, 17 games, and Evans got 1,003 yards. So unless you're telling me that everyone has a season with 2 yards, that's not a record anymore. Then of course the Saquon thing, getting he didn't play, but if he had and he had broken that record, I would have had a major problem if they were talking on the TV that he has the new single season rushing record. Bullshit. He wouldn't have. And you could say less carries and all of that. Maybe they weren't as dependent on him as they were Eric Dickerson. So I hate that. I hate the sack thing was out there too. And you know what? For you guys, I saw the stat of the Giant game. First 14 loss season for the Giants. And I'm thinking, there's never been 17 games. I'm sure there were 3-13 once. In your history back in the 70s even, or there was 14
more
games
recently
back then.
So,
and the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He broke the Jets single season touchdown passing record in 17 games. Give Ken O'Brien one more game, I'm telling you, he's throwing 3 touchdowns. So they can't talk about this without putting an asterisk on it. It's annoying. So stop it.
The most annoying thing is that I did not, in all those records and everything you talked about, I did not hear one talking head mention 17 games.
Not once. No. And that was my pet peeve. Like they never ever mentioned it. And the Mike Evans one drove me the most crazy. Most of all of them.
Yeah.
He did it by 3 yards on a gift play, and he had an extra game.
Yeah.
By the way,
if Jerry Rice had one more game, if Jerry Rice had one more play, he wouldn't have broken that record. Yeah.
Right. You know, by the way, 1,000 yards divided by 17 games, it's 58.82 yards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to, downplay it because it's a long season and but you're talking about averaging 58 yards a game. I mean, come on. In this day and age with the, throwing the ball, quarterbacks are throwing the ball 40 times a game.
Yep.
58 yards. Come on. Big deal.
Yeah. And isn't there, maybe it's someone else, maybe it wasn't Jerry Rice, but didn't Jerry Rice at one time had to have 2 catches or something for some record, and whoever the coach was at the time, Mariucci or whoever, wanted to put him in, and he said, no, I don't want it like that.
Yeah,
probably did.
I think that was Jerry Rice, but I know it's happened. So, these guys are, I don't know if you guys saw how much Mike Evans was pouting when the game looked like it was over. He was absolutely pouting.
Yes, and they were going to go to the playoffs, don't forget, because they won.
Yeah.
And he was pouting, you're right. Yeah. And the other record, real quick, that I'll mention that you guys should be pissed about, Josh Allen should not be taking 1 snap to consider it another game started. I'm sorry. To catch Eli's record. Totally wrong. It shouldn't have happened. That's a cop-out in my mind. Eli never did that once, and when he could have kept the record going, he said, I'm not just going to go in there and take a snap. Gino's going to play.
Yep.
So I have a problem with that one, too.
Huge.
I didn't even know about that one.
Yep.
And I'm pissed about it.
Yeah.
I love the delayed piss. Yeah. Pissed off.
Glad I got Mike activated now. Good.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm reactivated.
Mike, pet peeve. Now that I got you activated, let's have it.
Yeah, mine. Now I've got to do pet peeve, so I have to. Mine will be really short. It was just an observation I made, and it did really piss me off. I think I more noticed it in college, but then it happened in the pros too, so it stuck in my head. You ever notice when a guy gets hurt on the field, like he's down, and like they have to stop the game because he's down? There's 2 reactions a head coach can have. The head coach can come out there and like lean over the guy and look in and like be talking to a doctor and everything. Or he can stay on the sidelines and think about his next play call. That all depends on how good that player is. I noticed.
It's so true.
That's like, if it's somebody good, that coach will be like, never mind the next fucking play. I gotta find out if this guy can go or not. And if it's on special teams and you're a gunner for the special teams, the coach could give a shit how long you're down on the field. So that's my more of an observation than a pet peeve, but it does get under my skin a little bit.
Yeah, I love it too. It's so funny, but I do love it when the coach does take a walk over and he kind of looks over the person kneeling down, taking care of him, and he just walks away with a look of like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
Right. Bad for him. Oh well.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Cardone?
Yeah, we've kind of overlapped a little bit with mine. It's these incentives and bonuses that these in week 18, whether it's games, it absolutely overtakes teams that need wins to get to make the playoffs or all kinds of playoff seeding, all that kind of thing. And the announcers get involved, the pregame it gets involved. I'm dealing with a fucking team that's 3-14, absolute shit show of the New York Giant team. I got to tune in on Sunday afternoon, week 18, and give a shit about who's making an extra $500,000. I mean, there was an article, the next day, about who missed out on, their bonus and incentive. I'm like, I don't give a goddamn rat's ass who missed out on what. The article, the first little bullet point I read was Burrow to Gesicki evidently needed, who's that, the tight end?
Yeah.
Gesicki on Cincinnati needed 3 yards for whatever, bump in his pay, and Burrow throws to him on the first play of the game for 12 yards. So I was thinking, well, if it's that fucking easy, why not just have incentives every week? Why not just have these? Just do it every single game, every single week. Jamar Chase needs 5 catches today for an extra, whatever, an extra $100,000. Well, make sure then he's getting the ball. That's the back end of the pet peeve that bothers me. Why is it that when a guy needs whatever it is, catches, yards, this or sacks, whatever, they just get it? You know what I mean? The team just makes sure that he's getting that ball. Is the other team aware of this and they just lay down? I don't know what goes on with this stuff, but it just drives me nuts. It's another part of the fictitious fabrication of this National Football League, and it's all driven by who's making how much money and all this other bullshit. I don't know what's real, what's not anymore in this league. And the incentives thing drives me bananas in Week 18. I don't give a damn as a fan how much these overpaid athletes as it is, if they're making an extra $200,000 because some guy ran an extra 10 yards or some bullshit. I couldn't care less. It drives me nuts.
Boo-hoo, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you're so right. Why not just do away with that stuff? Because it does tarnish the game.
It does.
I mean, if you really think about it, and you get to Week 18, you have nothing to play for. They go into a game literally trying to get each other money. Are they really trying to win the game, or are they trying to get each other money? And you watch that Bucs game, they needed to win.
Yeah.
He was thrown to Evans in triple coverage all day long, and they almost lost. And I wish they had. And I told you guys that before the game. I hope they fucking lose because it was so clear what they were doing.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, just lose the damn game. You're so worried about it. And if that's the case, Novak, then how about, when they do like the jet sweep, how about just like hand them that half a yard pass where that counts as a forward pass? Like if you want to get certain number of receptions or why not just do it that way? Instead of forcing the ball like down the field or whatever, in triple coverage, just hand him that little jet sweep thing and you get your catches and yards that way. I'm tired of it. It's not going anywhere. It's just getting worse and worse every year. It's the same things, guys. We as old school football fans, it's the same shit that gets under our skin. But just sit there and listen to that all day on Sunday. With my team being at 3-14, hoping that I lose, I got to sit there and be concerned about this. Drives me nuts.
Yep. Just do what Ohio State does. Put those little stupid ass Buckeyes on their head every time they make a decent play, and let that be their bonus.
$25,000 for each Buckeye.
Yeah, whatever.
The Buckeyes probably do that in real life. I mean, this probably.
These idiots would probably actually buy into that. I got more stickers than you do on my helmet. But whatever. All right, so we're going to get to questions. We will start with the Peacock Corner, which I have, since I've taken over, I've dubbed as such. So Peacock's 2 questions. We'll start with the first one, and I'll start with Mike on this. In 2 minutes or less, take me through the process of improving your team, draft, coach, free agency.
I guess they're asking about our specific situation here. So
the Giants. Yes.
So the coach and the GM are kind of settled, but if this is a carte blanche, it's we fire Daboll and go hard after Vrabel, and then we draft Travis Hunter and another quarterback. Hopefully, like I said earlier, dream scenario would be a Jackson Dart, but whatever, and then sign Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold if he loses his first playoff game and gets traded away from there. That's what I do coming into this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Try to keep it under 2 minutes.
Is that good? Cardone?
Yeah, pretty similar. I mean, I thought of this in 2 different ways. There's the short term. It's not even a fix. It's just somehow look different and look better, right? Because the Giants aren't going anywhere next year. So in the short term, sign a Cousins, sign a veteran quarterback, somebody that has won in this league and that can come in and look like an NFL quarterback. Anybody but Locke and DeVito and Cutlets and all this other bullshit. So short term, that's a free agent, at least at the quarterback position. As far as the rest of the team, I don't know. And then long term, build through the draft. That's the way. To become more established, in years 2 and beyond. And then not even worried about the coach and the GM at this point. Right now, as far as the roster, a free agent quarterback, short term, to bridge that gap, and then and then build through the draft. And we need a lot. There's a lot of holes. So the draft we'll see. And the Giants have a lot of picks, this year coming up, and that's the long term, built through the draft. So kind of a hybrid of an answer, but short and long term.
For me, so the Jets are drafting 7th, and my hope is that one of these quarterbacks outside of the first 2 really start to jump up the draft boards, and someone gets real desperate, and the Jets trade back for someone to get up there and get Dart or get Quinn Ewers or whoever that third one is, because they gave up so much draft capital for Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Hassan Reddick and all these guys that they don't have a ton of draft choices in the 2nd and 3rd rounds because of that. So I want to get more. I want to stockpile drafts. I don't want the number 7 pick. As far as coach, I would like, as I've hinted at and said, I do not want a first-time coordinator. I want a second-term coach. I'm good with Flores. Believe it or not, I wanted Vrabel. That's a pipe dream, not happening. But it needs to be, Gruden would be my number 1 choice, but I don't see that happening. Hopefully Flores is the guy. I don't want a first-time coordinator. And then for free agency, don't overspend. We're already in not a great cap position because we tried to go all in on this year. We're going to need some sort of quarterback. I'm not 100% surprisingly against the Dick coming back, because who else is out there as a free agent? I don't think there's many. I don't want Justin Fields. So that's a fear of mine that they will go that direction. So I would try to get a free agent quarterback unless you keep the Dick. If so, I want a bunch of free agents, filling gaps that we have on 1-year deals.
Yeah, I think that's very wise. I think from the Giants' perspective, if they don't get a quarterback in this draft, or they don't get a starting quarterback in this draft, or whatever, and we bring in a Cousins or whoever, and the wheels come off this thing again. So the good news is then we would be resetting. We'd be getting to Novak's fresh start. We'd have a new coach, a new GM, and possibly Arch Manning.
That would be the dream pick. Right there.
So that's And if the Giants start out 1-5 again, that is what I'm hanging my hat on. I'm gonna get to Tankathon early next year.
Well, wait a minute, Mike. The Rams started 1-4. They won the division. So you're saying we can't do the same?
I mean, think about next year if you've got Neighbors, Arch Manning, Dexter Lawrence, Tracy. All of a sudden, Travis Hunter. All of a sudden, you've got the most talented core group in the league in 1 year. That's the dream right there for you guys.
Yeah. That's the dream.
All right, so we have some rapid fire ones. Favorite movie doesn't need to be a sports movie. So mine is a sports movie, but not a football one. My favorite movie, because I love my favorite actor is Mark Wahlberg, so my favorite movie is The Fighter. Is my favorite movie.
The Fighter. That's a good choice. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should pick my favorite all-time movie, which is The Empire Strikes Back, or something more recent that I can watch anytime it's on, like Tombstone or Unforgiven.
I gotta go. I'm a huge 80s comedy movie fan guy, and I gotta go. I tell you one that's kind of under the radar a little bit. Everyone knows Caddyshack, and but give me Fletch. Give me Chevy Chase in Fletch. Outstanding. So good. Fletch, 6'5", 6'9" with the afro. Yeah. So
John Cocktoastin.
Cocktoastin. Yeah, I'm gonna go Fletch. I could watch that all the time. I mean, at any time. Yeah.
Next one was any resolutions. I'll go first. Mine was, one of them was drink less beer, read more, which I don't read, and less on my phone, as my wife and daughters tell me I'm on that too much. So those are my 3 things.
I like how you qualify that with less drink.
Yeah, I didn't say
less.
Quit.
I did not say quit.
I did not, and I will not.
Yeah, I didn't make any this year personally, but staying off my phone a little bit would be, I don't feel like an adult when I'm sitting there staring at my phone. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I tell you, with the way my body's breaking down, mine is to just go to the doctor more. I mean, forget about the gym and all that. I think I've talked about that. The hell with the gym and exercise and all that. I'm making more doctors a visit. Just more doctor visits. I'm not kidding. One thing goes wrong, I'm like, I don't care how much like flex spending I use or how much of my United Healthcare, whatever. They're going to be getting claims from me every week. Be like, what is wrong with this guy? He's gotten every single part of his body checked, and it's not even March. So my resolution is hit the doctor's office for everything and anything.
Beautiful.
This is another one other than New York, so that's off the table. Your favorite and most hated city?
Man, New York's both of my answers.
So I'll go first. I would say, and I'm not going for sports. I'm not going to have nothing to do with sports, because if it was sports, Philadelphia is number one, but that's boring. So I've said that a million times. I'm going to go. My favorite city actually is Boston. I love visiting there. I love that city. And my most hated city is Austin, Texas, which I can't stand. It's hot. It's gross. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So Boston and Austin are my two.
Austin and Austin. Love it. Cardone, you got one?
Yeah. Favorite city. Is it favorite city and where?
Yeah, favorite and most hated.
And most hated. Probably my company has a conference every year in July, and it's in San Diego. And San Diego is just awesome. Everything about it. Yep. Just the scenery, the environment, the weather, the nightlife, it's just, San Diego is just, if it wasn't, $1 million for a shack, I would think about living there. It's that beautiful. So I probably say, go with San Diego for my, and hated probably I got to go with probably Philadelphia. I mean, just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard not to say Philly.
I know.
I mean, I was going to say, I don't know. I was going to say anything like in New Jersey, something, I don't know, like like Newark or something like that. But it's not, that doesn't even qualify or count as far as like an actual real city. I guess I'm going to go Philly. I don't know, just because of the Northeast, and it just it's
not. Yeah, you can leave the sports out of it and still hate Philly.
I just don't think of it as, it's not even like, to me, it's maybe because there's nothing touristy about it. To me, there's nothing. Even like I've been to Chicago, I've been to a lot of cities, and like that, it's just cool. Like just Philly to me is like, where do you? I don't know what to do there.
Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
Well,
my favorite is it's an absolute no-brainer for me. It's Nashville, Tennessee, where I've been a handful of times. Always had fun there. Always just a cool place to be. I love Nashville. And my most hated, this probably isn't fair. So if we have listeners from there, I'm sorry, but Los Angeles sucks. It's terrible. I went there in business years ago. It's the only time I've ever been there. I planned all this stuff, like on the flight, I'll go look at this, I'll go look at that. I'm in the rental car for like 10 minutes. They literally had a public service announcement on the radio that if you get lost, do not stop and ask for directions. I'm like, what the hell? So I went to my hotel room. I checked in. There was a Denny's right at the bottom of the hotel. I ate at Denny's the whole time I was there. I went back up to my room, drove back to the airport, got on the flight, got the hell out of there. So I didn't really give it a fair shake, but I was like, I don't have any need to go back to Los Angeles.
All right. So the other Mike, who sends questions and a lot, has 4 rapid fire ones. The first one, I mean, I can answer, but we can all chime in. How do you guys hook up with your sponsors? I think we did a little bit of outreach at the beginning of the year, and we were reached out to by a few. We vet these sponsors very well. We only take on ones that we know provide a great product. So our sponsor, the Carolina Beer Temple, was one that wanted to host our live pod, so that's there. And then Rugged Uncle, there is a connection there. We know the owner. He has a great product, and it's perfect for our demographic, which, mostly, not all, but mostly is guys that would use Rugged Uncle. So anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, the Manscaped one, I believe they reached out to us, but we are no longer associated with them. So if you don't want to buy their shit, don't buy it.
Yeah, F off, Manscaped. Right. All right, so this is a funny one, actually. Among the Giants and Jets beat reporters, who do you like best, and who's the biggest douche?
I struggled with this one. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. I don't have an answer because I didn't look at the questions so I don't really follow that type of media, the beat reporter media.
Yeah. I don't either, to be honest. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh shit, I really don't even have an answer really. I was thinking like, as far as who do I like? I mean, does Bob Papa count? I mean, as far as our play-by-play guy, I mean, the team of Papa and Carl Banks. I love listening to those guys. I mean, Papa's been the voice of the Giants for decades. So whenever I hear Bob Papa, I immediately think of New York Giants, and I think just a guy who just he in my opinion, he's everything about him is awesome. But as far as like who's a dude, like same with Mike, I don't really follow it's weird because the media is so national now, and it's like I don't zero and zone in on just Giant like beat reporters, to be honest. So same thing. I really didn't have an answer as far as there's lots of douches out there, that's for sure. But rather than make up an answer, I didn't really have one.
For me, go ahead.
Novak.
No, I was gonna say for the Jets, I actually do follow them only because I listen to WFAN a lot. I like Brian Costello. I think he's generally writes good articles in the New York Post, or he's the Daily News, I believe. I like his articles, and I think he does a good job of asking decent questions. The biggest douche is Rich Cimini, who's been around for the Jets forever, and this guy just gets off on the Jets sucking. Like he doesn't want them to be good. He's their beat reporter forever, but he will throw shade at this team even when they're winning. And because I think he knows he gets more eyes on his Twitter feed or his articles when they suck ass, which is most of the time anyway. So Rich Cimini's my answer there.
Good. Yeah, if we can include Papa, certainly he's everything the Giants to me. I love Bob Papa. He's a cool dude. I do know there's one guy. I don't even know if he's considered a Giants beat reporter, but he comments on the Giants on Twitter all the time. And this guy is like the king of terrible takes. Every time I read something he's writing, I'm like, how can you think? Don't you cover this team? Like, how can you, say those things? That's Ralph Vacciano. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, that dude. Yep.
He is just like the king of terrible takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Vacciano. I don't like him either.
Vacciano. Okay.
Yep. So this one's for me. Looking back on the Jets season, they were ahead in the fourth quarter. In most games, they lost. Can you objectively conclude the losing record was not the Dick's fault? That's a tough question to answer because I think it wasn't just his fault. I think they had a lot of issues with coaching, which would be more of the issue than the Dick, because if you watched a lot of their games, especially at the end of the game, there was poor clock management. There was, bad play calling, which unless he was agreeing to the call, which maybe he had to, I don't know. They switched up offensive coordinators on him halfway through the year. That can't be good. So no, I just don't. I don't think that it was all his fault. I think I would put coaching more as the bigger issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to say that the Dick on the field was fine. I think where I blame the Dick for the Jets season is just the culture he brought.
Yes, agreed.
More so than his play. The Dick culture.
I'm just laughing at how casually we just say the Dick. Like it's become just like, what I mean? We're just casually like throwing out, the Dick this and the Dick that. It's like, I just as I'm listening to you guys, I don't know if you noticed, I just started laughing.
I did, and I knew exactly why you were, because Mike did it without skipping a beat. Well, it's 3rd and 4, and the Dick dropped back, and I really thought he was gonna.
It's his name now.
It is, right.
My wife calls him that when we're watching TV.
I forgot what we were talking about.
I'm gonna have a hard time getting back to this now. All right. I don't know how the hell to answer this one because I didn't see it until now, and I was looking at it as you guys were talking. I don't know what the hell I'm going to say. But if a restaurant or deli in your neighborhood wanted to name a sandwich after you, what would be on that sandwich? So I'll let you guys go first while I think about this.
Well,
I can take that one first, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Cardone.
Yeah. Well, first, I think I do have a name for my sandwich. Actually, the name of my sandwich would be called the 8x2, and basically, there's a synonymous, there's a metaphor for that, and I may have to tell you that I may have to give you that one offline, guys, as far as what the 8x2 stands for. But basically, it's an 8-inch by 2-inch piece of meat. Let's call it that. So it'd be like a big kielbasa or bratwurst, and it has to come with, I don't know if you guys ever heard, there's a mustard out there. It's called I'm going to give a plug here to the Lusty Monk, like coarse grain mustard. It is the most phenomenal mustard I've ever had in my life. I actually was given this to me. I had it at a place here in South End one night. I was at a craft beer place. And, the usual appetizers, pretzels and things like that. So a soft pretzel. I dipped a soft pretzel into this mustard that I didn't know what it was. And it's built, has like horseradish built in. And my head almost exploded because I took a big, heaping gulp of it. And I was thinking to myself, what is that? And when the bartender or waiter came over, I go, what mustard are you guys using? Oh, it's the Lusty. It's actually, they're up in Asheville, North Carolina. Up there in the mountains, and it's called the Lusty Monk. They only have like 3 different flavors, and it's available at our place here in local in Charlotte here. And it was I got it for as a Christmas gift, and I've had some, and it's the most amazing. So my sandwich would be the 8x2, and it would come with with Lusty Monk mustard, and it with no cheese, because I think, as you guys know, I am vehemently against cheese. I know that's crazy living in America. A guy who does not like cheese, but I would not have cheese on my sandwich. And by the way, I guess I'm describing a similar thing like to a hot dog. So, and we know, I think we've had the debate, is a hot dog considered a sandwich? I don't think it is, but for the purposes of this question, I'm going with an 8x2-inch piece of meat.
I just ordered a jar of Lusty Monk mustard from Amazon before you even finished your.
No way.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
I gotta try that.
I'm excited.
It's like a horseradish base. It's incredible.
It says here you get it at Whole Foods.
There you go.
If it's out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my favorite sandwich of all time is a Reuben. I love a Reuben sandwich. The funny thing about the Reuben for me is I don't like any of the individual ingredients. I don't like sauerkraut. I don't like corned beef. But there's magic when you put that all together. Put a little French dressing. So I would say a piled high corned beef Reuben.
Okay.
With Lusty Monk mustard on it.
Lusty Monk. I'm telling you, man, you'll love it. You can't go wrong with that. It's incredible.
By the way, it's one of my bucket list items to have a sandwich named after me somewhere.
There you go.
Well, we might do this. Let's make it happen. let's talk to Mulligan's soon.
We should.
Let's get him by the line.
That's right. Actually, you could have a big sandwich, call it Giant Mike sandwich, or something like that. It's not difficult. I mean,
absolutely.
It should happen.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
We should. For me, this was a hard one because I don't know. I love ham and cheese. That's my favorite sandwich, but I actually put banana peppers on everything. So I would load up the banana peppers. I don't like tomatoes that much. A little bit of lettuce and toast. For me, that's my sandwich. I would go that, but it has to have good banana peppers and a lot of ham. So that's my sandwich.
I like it.
I think that's all the questions we have. We went a little long tonight, but that's okay. Boys, let's hope this weekend is some real football. We finally don't have to watch those losers anymore. I know we're happy about that, and we can actually just enjoy football again, because the last 18 weeks have been pretty torturous, to be quite honest. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, just look at these playoffs teams, man. The Giants and Jets have made their mark on these playoffs. How many of these teams' records have been pumped up by beating the Giants and Jets, Buffaloes and Phillies and, hell, everyone else we lost to along the way there. But we all gave them a win and set these playoffs up. So this is all about the Giants and Jets to me.
Yeah.
I do have one last thought that I certainly wanted to get out tonight. And if you guys recall, I've been mentioning this. I had my eye on this for about a month. And had the Carolina fucking Panthers end up in last place, the Giants would be visiting Charlotte next year. The Panthers were in last place from weeks 1 through 17, as were the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So all I needed was a Panther loss to a Falcon team last week. The Panthers were on the road at Atlanta. Atlanta was alive for a playoff spot. They could win a division if they won and Tampa lost. Or had New Orleans won, the same thing would have happened, and Carolina would have ended up in last place, where the Giants would be here in Charlotte next year. We already lost a game to fucking Cologne, Germany, wherever the hell they played that this year, and I'm thinking like, all right, we'll get the Giants because the Panthers are going to end up in last place. No. The Panthers decided to somehow formulate a good football team in the last month, and I don't know if I was watching more of the Saints, Bucks, and Falcons, Panthers, rooting for the Falcons to beat the Panthers like a lunatic just so the Giants, and what for? So I could go watch the shitty Giants here in person, but it was something to look forward to, and I couldn't even get that. With all the bullshit this year, at least I couldn't get it. So I wanted to, the Panthers, for some reason, unbelievable. They scored 44 points on the Falcons, who were trying to win the division, and the Falcons are this pathetic. So just another, just F you to Cardone and my fandom. I was trying to get the Giants here in Charlotte next year. Oh no, won't happen. The Giants are now going to New Orleans because Panthers were in last place for 17 weeks. They decide to keep winning at the end of the year, end up in third place. Unreal.
It's unbelievable. And a couple things on that real quick. I ate crow last week. We all need to eat crow because guess who's drafting behind both the Jets and the Giants? The Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would not have thought that. We ripped them to shreds at a live pod, and look what they're doing. The other thing, Cardone, I hate to give you another kick in the nuts, but we had talked about the four of us going up for the Jet-Giant game should they play next year. Yep. And had the Jets lost to the Dolphins, that would have happened.
Yeah.
And we lost that too.
We lost that one also.
Which would have been a blast. We probably would have done something with the pod up there. It would have been great, a lot of fun. And that's not happening either. So nothing can go well for us.
No, nothing goes our way.
But what a perfect cap to the season. That not only does this season just have to end it as shit, and it ended weeks ago. We should be like, okay, it's over, it's fine. But we can't even have like a little taste for next year.
No,
we can't even have nothing.
Nope. All right. Well, on that, we started out happy with fervor, and we end with anger and pissed off and frustration. Sounds like every game we watch for these two teams. But
that's true.
Boys, we'll see what happens this week. Enjoyed it, and thank you everyone for listening. And we will be on next week, and our leader will be back.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
See ya.
Super wild card.